The signs are becoming impossible to ignore. When a presidential candidate openly declares their intention to be a dictator on day one, we must have taken such statements seriously. We're witnessing unprecedented executive orders that threaten to fundamentally reshape how our government functions and what America has represented since its foundation. If you feel like you're watching the systemic dismantling of our institutions and protections we've taken for granted, you're not alone. And you're not overreacting or delusional. The latest executive orders targeting federal funding for essential programs like Medicaid, hospital services, various social safety nets, including community mental health centers. This represents a direct challenge to our most vulnerable populations. These are not just policy changes, they're potential transformations of our social contract. And this is a reminder that past authoritarian governments have promoted getting rid of the most vulnerable among its people because they're too expensive to care for, or they simply don't contribute to society. We've heard that before. If you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or even terrified about these developments, then this video is for you. I'm going to share evidence-based psychological strategies to help you navigate these challenging times while maintaining your mental health and capacity for positive action. Stay until the end for practical tools that you can start using today, and be sure to save this video for later reference and subscribe with notifications on to stay informed about managing your psychological well-being during these unprecedented times. Hello, I'm Dr. RB, a licensed psychologist in Florida and New York. And if you've been to my channel before, welcome back. If you're new here on this channel, you'll notice that I bridge together many topics of interest from depth psychology and ancient wisdom traditions to spirituality, leadership development, human design, and various therapeutic techniques to create a unique approach to healing and growth. My mission here is to help you connect deeply with your authentic self and divine guidance while navigating our rapidly changing world. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Let's first acknowledge the very real psychological impact and toll of witnessing potential authoritarian shifts. Yes, this is what authoritarianism looks like. Don't be fooled, it's not in your head. The sense of unreality and dissonance when familiar institutions begin to change. The anxiety of not knowing what might come next. The feeling of powerlessness in the face of sweeping changes, and the isolation that can come from seeing things others might minimize or deny. These responses aren't just normal. They're signs that your mind is actually working to process and make sense of genuine threats to our democratic norms. What we're experiencing has elements of collective trauma, a shared psychological response to events that threaten our sense of social stability and safety. Understanding this helps us recognize why we might feel hypervigilant about news and social media, disconnected from our daily routines, struggling to maintain hope and perspective, and experiencing physical symptoms of stress. So let's explore specific strategies for maintaining psychological well-being while staying engaged and aware. Number one is information management. We want to really create a structured times for news consumption. And I recommend that reading is better than television. And this is just due to the lower amount of factors that stimulate us. So for example, if you're watching a movie, especially like a horror movie, you notice that the music is really bringing up your nerves and getting you even more afraid. The same thing happens with the news. It's better to read the titles so that you know the facts. And then if you need to go deeper because the titles aren't clear and you need to understand more details, then do that, read that part, but always understand that there's opinions and facts mixed in to the details. So in other words, while you're reading the details in the news, just be aware that there's opinions and facts. Number two is you want to choose reliable, fact-based sources. And it's good to practice the three-source rule before accepting information. And what do I mean by that? If there's a statement and you want to believe it or you think, should I believe it? Look for three other independent sources that also validates that or corroborates that. You want to take regular media breaks to process and reflect. And that's very important. There's something really interesting that I've always found when I travel to Spain. And that is in the cafes in the morning, about 10 in the morning, you usually see a lot of people that are elderly. They're sitting at tables and they're all reading the newspaper together. And what they're doing is they'll read a section of the newspaper and then they have a conversation. So they allow themselves to process and reflect in a group, which is also a great idea. When things start to feel like, or you catch yourself saying, it's too much, or this is crazy, this is a good indication that you need to stop and process and reflect, that you've reached the limit of your news consumption. So think of it that way. Also, you want to implement what we call the 4-7-8 breathing technique, and this is to alleviate stress relief. A way of doing that is you want to inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. You want to then hold your breath for 7 seconds. And then with your tongue right behind your front teeth, you want to then release that exhale for 8 seconds. And you can even make like a whoosh sound. So it would look something like this. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 1, 2, 8. If 8 seconds is too much, just try exhaling a little longer than you're inhaling. And that should also work. You want to repeat this cycle 4 times when you're starting out doing this. And you could do this anytime you start to feel like you're overwhelmed. You want to practice emotional labeling to also reduce anxiety's intensity. And what I mean by that is be sure to name your emotions. You could even write a list of emotions and try to grow that list, because every time you come up with new names to label an emotion, that also helps to clarify what you're feeling as well as reduce anxiety. You want to maybe also develop a stress thermometer to measure like between 1 and 10. So 1 being no stress at all, very calm, and 10 very stressed out. You want to check in with yourself and just ask yourself, where am I on 1 to 10 in this stress thermometer? You want to create daily rituals that also ground you in the present moment. There's a lot of videos out there talking about grounding, how to ground yourself. Some things you could try is like naming different objects in your immediate surrounding, and you name them slowly. Or maybe you want to put maybe a fruit in your mouth, like a strawberry or anything that you really enjoy, and then focus just on the tasting, the temperature, the texture. That's another way to get you grounded. Anytime you get into your body, you're grounding yourself. The next thing you want to think about is community building. Try and join support groups or form groups yourself that has shared values. You want to create safe spaces for processing feelings and fears. This is very important because as human beings, we shape our reality also based on community. So that's why it's so important to be engaged in a community or group where you feel safe. You want to engage in local community activities that align with your values. Build networks of mutual support and resource sharing. And you want to get involved in groups that share goals of change in your communities. Another aspect to this is maintaining personal agency. And what I mean by that is you want to focus on groups or spheres of direct influence. So you want to set achievable daily goals for yourself. You want to also document changes that you observe. You want to engage in meaningful personal projects. And then you want to have practical tools for daily use, things that you're going to do each and every day to establish a sense of routine and normalcy. When things feel chaotic and out of control, a sense of routine is also very helpful. So, for example, a morning ritual for stability, a morning meditation, journaling in the morning. You want to begin with maybe 5 minutes of breathing. You want to then write 3 things that you can positively influence in your day. Set a specific goal for maintaining psychological balance. Then in the middle of the day, you want to do a check-in, maybe a body scan for tension, emotional temperature check, as we discussed earlier. You want to maybe do a grounding exercise. And if you have to adjust your daily plans, do so. And then towards the end of your day, as you're about to wind down, you want to review the day's challenges and successes. You want to practice some gratitude, maybe 2 or 3 things that you feel grateful for during the day. Planning then for tomorrow. And then you want to do some relaxation techniques for like better sleep, stretching, drinking water, disconnecting phone and Wi-Fi if possible, getting rid of blue lights. Then you want to also have some action steps for long-term resilience. So you want to create a personal support network, develop your information management plan, establish daily psychological maintenance routines, set boundaries for engagement in stressful topics, and plan regular activities that nurture hope and connection. It's really important during these chaotic times and how you deal with uncertainty. So, one of the most challenging aspects of our current situation is simply the uncertainty about what's going to come next. Imagine we've already experienced, we're in day 30, the inauguration was on the 20th, so only 10 days, and look at how many things have already happened. So this brings up this sense of chaos and uncertainty. So let's practice a specialized technique for managing uncertainty related to anxiety. The first thing is you want to acknowledge the uncertainty. Don't deny it. You want to identify what remains constant in your life. Yes, many of us say there's nothing constant except death and taxes. Okay, but there are things that have been constant in your life. What are they? Identify them and have a focus on that. Focus on immediate actionable steps that you can do, because those are things you can do immediately. Connect with your values, with your principles. Engage in meaningful activities aligned with your values. And then you want to move on to building collective resilience. So in other words, you're going to remember that individual well-being, everything we've discussed so far, is very important to contributing to the collective strength. When we maintain our mental health, we're better equipped to support others in the community, make clear-headed decisions, take effective action when needed, preserve our democratic values, build resilient support networks. While we can't control everything happening around us, we can maintain our psychological well-being and capacity for positive action. Remember, taking care of your mental health is not selfish by any means. It's essential for long-term resilience and effective engagement with these challenges. For additional resources, including detailed guides and exercises, follow the link below in the comments and just write "guide" in the comments, and I will share that with you. Thank you for watching. Once again, Like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. Share this video with someone you think will need it. Until next time, please stay grounded, stay connected, and remember, you're not alone. This is Dr. RB. Until the next time.